Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to share a little bit about what Brahman consciousness is and what you can do when you are basically stuck in Brahman and you kind of want to go into the next phase, the ParaBrahman. Okay, so Brahman, before Brahman is unity. So unity consciousness is when you become one with everything. You are the self with the capital S. You are everything that exists, and that's all happening in creation. So an individual becomes one with everything. And the next step or the next shift is into Brahman, so becoming the Brahman. And the Brahman is nothingness. Nothing exists in Brahman, is empty. There is nothing there. And the individual falls away with that shift, so nobody is having that experience. It really feels like that. So there is pure emptiness, and it's outside of creation. So unity is still in creation. Brahman, you basically step outside of creation. So everything you look at is manifesting in front of your face. You see it when it comes forward, when it's there. When you look at it, it's there. You see it like it doesn't matter if it's people, if it's things, if it's a building. When you look at it, it's there. And when you look away from it, it collapses. So you really only when you look at it, it manifests. And then when you look away, the manifestation dissolves. So for example, when you meet a person and then you interact with that person, the person exists. And when they look away or do something else, it's really the person doesn't exist. Like you don't even have a sense of that person. You don't have a sense of anything except you're experiencing it in the present moment. Then also empty, meaning there are no emotions there. So you don't feel any emotions. You don't feel any love, joy. There is no bliss. There is nothing. Also, no low vibrational emotions like no fear, no anxiety. I mean, nothing of that sort. Nothing is experienced there. It's just pure emptiness. Then also there is an energy exchange before. So in unity, because you are the self and everything that exists is out of the same consciousness, so the self with the capital S, there's an energy exchange. When you look at something, you see the energy in that and you can experience it. There is an energy exchange happening, and there is no energy exchange happening in Brahman. So you look at something and it's just more static. It looks static. There's no movement in between you and that thing. And what does it mean to look into creation from outside of creation? It's very interesting. So when you, for example, an experience I had, or this is how I also experienced it. So when I looked in the distance, it was really like a movie screen. I saw that movie screen, and in between the movie screen and me, there were like trees or buildings or I don't know, whatever I saw. But there was nothing behind the movie screen. So I could see that everything was just projected onto that movie screen in 3D between me and the movie screen, and there's nothing behind there. And going through everyday life is very different. So this is the most profound shift on the whole path of awakening. Like this is actually, it's really profound. Like you know when you're in Brahman consciousness, like there is no mistake. Like you cannot not know it. The shift is so dramatic or so drastic. It's not dramatic because dramatic means there are emotions involved. Then it's drama, but there are no drama. There are no emotions of that sort. So it's not like dramatic in that kind of way. But it's just that the difference is so big. That's what I want to say. Oh yeah, and then when you like talk to somebody, so how I experienced it was really, I always felt I was in a very, very deep meditation, like far gone. So I always felt I was up, my consciousness was up. And then when I talked to somebody, I came back down, I talked to that person, and when we had like a stop of the conversation for a minute or something, I moved back up. And then when I had to continue on the conversation, I had to come back down and so on. So it was quite exhausting talking to somebody, like the tension couldn't stay, the consciousness couldn't stay down in the conversation. And so also started to withdraw myself more from people. And yeah, I didn't really feel like interacting or anything. And yeah, I guess these are just a few aspects that came with the Brahman, just to briefly share the experience. And yeah, I don't know, it was a very profound experience and very important one, because with that, a lot of information is just present or comes in, a lot of higher information that wasn't accessible before. Okay, so that's why I feel like it's the most important shift, because you have access to information, yeah, that's not there before. And then after a period, let's say about 3 months, I felt like, okay, I don't really want to be here anymore, because I really was missing the love. So the human love, or in love in general, I was missing the most. Just love. So the rest I wasn't missing, but the love I was missing the most. And also I felt like I wasn't really helpful for my surrounding, like people in my surrounding, because there was no interest, and I really more withdraw myself from people. So I wasn't really of help for my family and friends. I wasn't really there for them. So I decided, okay, it's time. I had enough of this. I got what I needed, I guess. And I want that the next phase comes into the ParaBrahman. And I knew that this is a thing because people have experienced that before me, and they described how it was. And so I kind of knew how it's gonna unfold. And over a course of a few months, the ParaBrahman started to come in. But it started to come in basically the next day when I decided it. So it was an actual decision. So I'm just sharing how the ParaBrahman then came in. So for example, what started to come in was the joy of existence, the unconditional love. So these are two very profound ones, and that are those emotions felt very different, or still feel very different from the ones before. So the human love, or just joy before in the human. So it's the joy of existence, and it comes with bliss. So in Brahman, I didn't experience any bliss, like non-bliss at all. But in ParaBrahman, then the bliss started to come in, just the bliss of existence. So there was a constant, or still a constant vibration in my body. Just because I exist, the bliss is there. And it's not like ecstatic bliss or anything. It's more subtle, but it's there all the time. And it feels really nice. So the joy is not like, like joy when you go out with friends and you have a great time and there's, have a lot of laughter. It's more a subtle joy, but it's there all the time just because you exist. And it's really beautiful because you don't need to do anything for it. It's just there all the time. And then the unconditional love is very different from the human love. So human love I learned that human love is conditional, and then their unconditional love is really to have the exactly same love for everybody, because you have the love for everybody in the sense of towards their beingness, their existence. They exist. That's why you have love for them. And it's also different from the human love. It's also more subtle, but it's there for everybody, also for strangers. So it's the same love for family, friends, and strangers. And this started to come in. I mean, there is a difference between, of course, people you feel more drawn to. You feel more drawn to their beingness, right? Like, for example, partner, family, friends. You feel more drawn to their beingness than to, let's say, strangers, maybe. But I'm just explaining about the love. So the draw towards somebody is different. Yeah, and then also emotions started to come back in, but like lower vibrational emotions, the lowest ones I'm experiencing is really like annoyance, or I'm distracted by something, or feel a bit disturbed by something. But there is no such emotions as fear, anxiety, hate, anger. Like all of these emotions, they don't exist. I mean, okay. So that's that. And what I want to say is, because people have sent me messages and asked me, saying, okay, I am experiencing the Brahman. I've been there actually for years or a longer time. I was only there for 3 months. How can I go into the next phase, the ParaBrahman, so that the human aspects start to come in? So basically, you take the Brahman and move back into creation with the ParaBrahman, and you bring all that back. And for me, it was a decision. So it was really just a decision because it was time. So I can recommend looking, can you make the decision? Because a very big point is, in Brahman, it was the first time for me when I actually experienced that I have 100%, I have a free will, a free will within this incarnation, within what I need to go through and learn, but in that I have a free will. Because before, because of all the human stuff that was going on, I was always like caught in like human patterns, human emotions, in beliefs, whatever it was. Like even unity consciousness, even my system was very cleared. I mean, not so much towards the end, but before, there wasn't really like you have a free will, but in the end, you always like you're caught in something of the human. And this I didn't experience anymore in Brahman. Um, and yeah, and basically whatever you want then comes, in my experience, from the beingness level. And this manifests quite quickly. So everything manifests quite quickly then in Brahman, because that's what's there before. So the human stuff that's in the way is not there anymore. So it just happens a lot quicker. So when I decide something, because there are endless possibilities really, in the limitation of the human, of course, with the limitation of the human, we can make a decision and the things are happening. And only why it's not happening in an instant is there sometimes needs to be time in between, because certain things need to happen. So there are sometimes certain, I don't know, realizations need to happen, just certain unfoldings need to happen. So just something needs to happen before it's then happening. So manifestation happens a lot quicker and more direct. And when you decide this, I mean, for me, it happened right on the next day. If you decide this, just decide it from like 100% from the beingness level. If this is what you want, I want that the human aspects are coming back in, and then see what happens. And you can also look for yourself why it hasn't happened. So what is holding you there? Why is this state serving you so much that you don't really want to go back into the human experience so much? Because the Brahman is more like being away from the human. So this is the liberation. This is what, you know, I don't know, monks and yeah, those kind of people, you know, they like to hang out in that state and don't interact with the world, but they're like in a monastery or anything anyway, so they don't need to. But we, I guess, or I guess people who are watching this would be also interested to interact, to have a normal interaction with the world, and be part of the human game. So just have a look, why is this still serving you? So I'm sure there is something there. So you wanted to escape from the human experience. The human experience was especially painful. You, I don't know, like just look for yourself. Why did you want it to come here, and what is this state giving you? And then look if you got everything you wanted or you were looking for, or if there's still something that you need to get. So if there's still something you need to get, maybe that just means spending more time there, then, you know, okay, just spend more time there until you're ready, and then decide, okay, now it's time. I want to have the human aspects coming back in. And if you say, okay, yeah, actually I'm ready, I just didn't know that I can decide that, yeah, just decide it. And if you feel you need support, I mean, this is really the energy transmission I'm working with, the next elevations. It can help. This is a project I call Next Elevation. So it's the energy transmission. You can always be connected to the transmission of the highest truth. So even in that state, it's helpful because it pulls you towards your personal highest truth. And if there is only just a little thing, you know, something still there that's holding you there, and it's for the falsehood and not the highest good for you, it can start being dissolved. And it probably happens quite quick, because in that state, like I said, it's you're more, the system is more pure, it's mostly quite cleared, so things are manifesting a lot quicker. So you can just try that. If you want to know more about it, I just put the link into the video description. But this is basically just a transmission. You can connect yourself to 24/7 and just receive it, and then, you know, move forward. Yeah, so this is what I recommend, those two things. And then, yeah, in Brahman, everything happens a lot quicker. You will see. I mean, maybe you experience that anyways. Manifestation happens a lot quicker from what you feel drawn to, what you feel, okay, I want to experience this, I want to do this, I want to do that. Because all the human stuff that's in the way before is just holding the manifestation, the more direct manifestation back, or it slows it down. Okay. I know that sounds too simple, but it is, this, at least this is my experience, and I've seen it for other people. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I see you for the next video. Okay, bye bye.